Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Modi with OddsJam. What we're going to do in this video, if you couldn't tell, we're going to bet some WNBA. So I've had a good past 3 days specifically betting the WNBA. So hopefully you follow me on Twitter and you've been playing those. If not, you can hit me up on Twitter at my handle Modi_Matt. That is flashed on the screen here. But I found just tons of value betting on the WNBA. Had a little bit of a cold streak, back in the green the past 3 days. Hoping to continue the stretch for today, the hot streak. And all of the WNBA plays that I get, and just all my bets in general, I get using the OddsJam Positive Expected Value page, especially for a sport like the WNBA, where it's not as heavily bet. Finding an edge on specifically using a sportsbook like this OddsJam Perfect Line, which is pulled from the sharpest sportsbook in the world, you can find some really, really big and clear edges with sports like that. For markets that aren't normally as tight, you can see some wide gaps between sportsbooks. So that's how I have made my money, specifically betting on the WNBA, which again, it applies across all sports, but specifically with a sport like the WNBA that doesn't have a ton of action, it's a really good way to, like I said, find an edge. So the bet that I'm looking at today, I've actually already locked in, as you can see here. This was a 75 3-unit bet, $75. Indiana Fever plus 7.5 against the Phoenix Mercury. So to talk about the math behind it for a second. So the OddsJam line prices this at -125. Again, these lines are pulled from the most accurate bookmaker in the world. And then with the VIG removed, it's priced at -111. Now the VIG is essentially, it's the hold on the market. It's the juice that sportsbooks price up odds, and that's how they make all their money. So they don't charge a transaction fee. Instead, they just price up the odds. And that way, they can accept equal payout on both sides and be profitable. So in order to understand what the market for the OddsJam line is truly priced at, what's important to do is remove the VIG and find the true line, which is exactly what's shown here in this column at -116. So this gap between -116 and -110, that is what has positive expected value, and in this case, about 2.57%. This percent here can essentially be viewed as your mathematical profit margin. It can be viewed as your edge. However you want to view it, it's just a way to measure exactly how much of a positive expected value bet you are getting. Now, the wider the gap between these two numbers, the higher the percent is going to be. But that doesn't necessarily mean that stuff that are lower percentages, like this one at 2.78, is a worse bet to make. There's a couple things that I look for just from a math perspective to decide whether something is worth betting or not. Number one, I like to look at this column here, market width. Market width is essentially a way we can measure confidence in the line. The lower the number equals more confidence. The logic behind it, essentially how it works, is the more money that this sportsbook receives on a market, the closer those numbers are going to be to each other, because they're going to be more confident in what they're pricing these lines at. So the more money they receive, the tighter the market equals more confidence, and market width is a way in which we can actually measure that confidence. So anything 25 and below is considered a tight market, and anything 15 and below is considered really tight, where you can really find some advantages. But for this one at 16 cents, it's well within range. And then another thing I like to do, so once I've checked the market width box, is open in a new tab and look to see where all the markets are pricing this spread at. And as we can see, so we are getting it at plus 7.5 on BetMGM. Looks like the OddsJam line prices this at plus 6.5, as does FanDuel, and most other books price this at plus 7. And then BetRivers is the only one that prices it the same as BetMGM at a slightly unfavorable odds at -113. With the OddsJam line, as we already know, pricing this at -125. So the reason why I like opening this up in a new tab is we can just see differences in what spreads are being priced at. I could bet the Fever at plus 7. At the same exact odds, I got them at plus 7.5. So the gap between the 6.5, the 7, the 7.5, that's just because of the money that different sportsbooks have received. So these sportsbooks, all of them except for MGM and BetRivers, have received a little bit more money on the Mercury, so they have them priced a little bit excuse me, on the Fevers, they have them priced a little bit more favorably. BetMGM and BetRivers haven't experienced that yet. But we know just from looking at this screenshot what a discrepancy getting the Fever at plus 7.5 is. So that's why I ended up locking this one in. I really like it. I ended up putting, like I said, a 3-unit bet on it. I recommend you guys tail. Like I said, I've had success overall and also recently with the WNBA after a little bit of a cold streak last week. But if you are tailing, I would love to hear it. Hit me up at my Twitter handle. Again, it's Modi_Matt. Comment on the video. Let me know you're tailing that way. And other than that, I would appreciate if you could like, share with your friends, and then subscribe to the OddsJam YouTube channel. But for this video, that is all I got for you. So thank you guys for watching, and have a good one.